I'm Liz Larson.
And I'm Bill McKenna.
And together, we created the Cognomovement system. And we'd like to welcome you to the New Life Perspectives radio show,
where we're going to be sharing with you tools, tips, and ideas that are going to change your life. Hi, welcome everybody on UK Health Radio. This is the New Life Perspectives radio show. My name is Bill McKenna. Liz Larson isn't with us today, but she's sure in our hearts. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about our health and the relationship to something that maybe we hadn't considered, and it's called trust. There is a relationship. So you might be kind of a little bit confused at this point, but as this entire program over the next 45 minutes or so unravels, they're going to see that there is something that you can do that will affect every aspect of your life. So the interesting thing that I figured out was that, and see if this resonates with you, is that if you have someone in your life that misunderstands you, like you know in your heart that you have good intentions, you don't have any malice with this person, however, you end up apologizing and re-explaining yourself to this person, trying to get them to understand whatever it is, your point of view, or that your actions weren't done in malice, then what you have is a person that doesn't trust you. It's extraordinarily simple, but it took me about 6 decades to figure this one out. It's the ones that are repetitive. They simply, you find yourself in the same position. There's something really basic that I'm going to walk through, and it will open your eyes to what's really going on. And it will help in every aspect of your life, your relationships, your business, your health. Everything will be impacted. So the way this works is that, let's say, for example, you have someone in your life that you have ultimate trust in. It's your mom, your dad, your child, your grandparent, your best friend. There's somebody that you know gets you. They understand you. They love you. And they know that you don't have any bad intentions where it's related to them. If they, for example, would offer you to buy their car, you probably would not do a mechanical check. You wouldn't need to get a lawyer involved. You would just simply say, oh, the car? Okay, how much do you want? Okay. And okay, great. And they would say, oh, the keys are under the mat, and I'll sign over the paperwork. And you're like, oh, well, I can get you a check, I don't know, a month or something, or whatever be the case. Everything is extraordinarily easy. It's simply easy. The transaction happens with maybe even laughter. There's an ease to it, and there's no resistance. Now, counter that, that is what we would call a very trusting relationship. There are other relationships that you've had in your life that who knows? Maybe it's somebody in business, maybe it's somebody in your family. Who knows what it is? But you find yourself, when they say anything to you, and these are the untrusted, right? They've proven to you over and over that you can't trust them. Now, if they offer to, sell you something and you're like, gosh, well, I really do like that car, but man, oh gosh, I don't know. You know, you're going to, mechanical checks, contracts, check the keys, make sure the keys work. They didn't give you some bogus keys, all these little details, because you're on the lookout constantly for how you're going to get messed over. When we don't trust, there is not a contract long enough that can really protect you from someone that is going to mess you over. The contracts just get longer and longer and longer when there is less and less trust. There is something that happens when we don't trust, and that is that there is a slowing down. Things take longer. I have to put protections in place. When you decrease trust enough, the relationship basically collapses. The business deal collapses. Everything collapses. So there is no sale because I just can't even do business with this person. I can't have a relationship because I cannot trust this person that they're not going to do something really bad, even if they get up from the restaurant dinner table and go to the restroom, that they're not going to be, doing something on the way, right? You have an eye out for what's messed up. So on the flip side of things, when there is ultimate trust, a person can talk near gibberish and you're like, I know, I get you. You just, yeah, I got it. Yeah, I understand. So underlying this trust is, I understand you. Or you may look at it the flip side. I trust you, and therefore an understanding begins to emerge. This is impacted our lives. And how is that so? How is that impacting us? Well, it's expensive. It's expensive. It's expensive not to trust. I know, being on the other side of the coin for the majority of my life, I was not trusting anybody about anything. So, hey, I get it. When you don't trust, you simply want to protect yourself, right? There's bad people everywhere, and they'll prove it to you over and over again, right? You're like, aha, you see, not to be trusted, not to be trusted. So what happens is that when we're in this distrust and fear, our world shuts down. And when we are in the shutting down, bit by bit, we will close down. We'll start to huddle in our houses. We will start to hoard. Hoarding is, I don't trust. I don't trust that there is enough. Do hoarders seem trusting? Have you ever said, "Hey, you know what? All these newspapers, right? Could we throw them in the trash? There's starting to become a health hazard, type thing." And they'll be, "No, no, no, I might need that. Don't touch anything. Don't move anything. Don't touch anything." Well, they'll argue with you a lot. That's because they don't trust. They can't trust life. So when taken to an extreme, and I'm showing kind of some extreme examples right now, but when taken to an extreme, you can see how it shuts down our life. For really most of us in the world, we have varying degrees of distrust. I would call it a pandemic. Right now, worldwide, people don't trust each other. There's on medical issues, there's the people that, let's say, for example, are on one side of a medical argument versus on another side of medical argument, different races not trusting each other, countries not trusting each other, you name it. It's across the board. And where does it start? It starts with the people, right? And then it's perpetrated by us looking for the thing to distrust, right? One of the things about our consciousness, what do we mean by consciousness? If I was to define consciousness, it means the understanding that we have come to thus far in our lives. So what we do is we have a bad experience of betrayal of some kind, and then we are like, you know what? Look out for that. Don't trust. You stack up a few betrayals and you're like, well, don't trust anybody. Don't trust anybody, because let's say your mom and dad, the people that were there supposedly supposed to protect you, didn't. They were supposed to care for you, didn't. They were supposed to keep you safe from harm. They didn't. They had a duty of care and they did not step up and do it. Maybe it's a doctor, right? Some doctor not stepping up to their duty of care. Whatever it might be that violated our trust, we end up emanating this distrust out to the world because of our level of understanding, our level of consciousness, the understanding we came to thus far in our life. We look out into the world and look for the evidence to support that understanding. This is simply what we all do. And there is another level of understanding that's possible. And with that other level of understanding comes a new reality. I know that sounds crazy, and it sure sounded crazy to me back in the day. I had an awful lot of experiences where people were telling me, hey, you know what, Bill, you're looking at things a little bit messed up. You probably want to let go of that and try to understand their point of view, and that they don't mean bad, or that sort of thing. And that was very difficult because I was locked into distrust. So I get it. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the benefit and how to, at the end of this program, there is a real awesome medical benefit that I'm going to actually show you at the end of the show. So stay tuned. Right now, we're going to take a little break for UK Health Radio and its sponsors. We love these guys. All right, and we're back. So when we talk about distrust and our health, well, what do I mean? In a very simple way, they are connected. They're connected through our physical body as a sensation of pain. So if you're listening this right now, right here, right now, for those of you that have pain at the very, very base of the spine, and that pain has been ongoing for a long time, ask yourself this question. Do you have fears around finances? Your physical survival on this planet? Do you have fears there? Well, our body, when we have distrust or an awful lot of physical fears of our survival, what happens is this particular area of the body expresses it. Our body will express for us the emotions we cannot process. So if we found ourselves kind of like every month, like, oh no, where's the money coming from? I don't know. The car is going to need to get fixed. I don't know about, if I'm going to have enough money for retirement or, this inflation thing, I'm going to fix income and, that's the inflation thing. Whatever be the case, you're going to want to stay tuned to the end because I'm going to give you a resolution for this that's going to help. And you'll physically actually feel the pain go away and a new reality emerge. Now, when we say, trust, right? You're probably thinking, well, reality is reality, but you'll find that there is another truth. There is another truth that when you realize a new truth, that the physical body will actually let go of the pain. Now, if you have pain in your spine that's adjacent your belly button, on your spine and in that area, do you have some blood relatives that you just can't trust? They do things like seriously jacked up, seriously messed up. Typically, this will be expressed right there, behind the belly button, maybe an inch or so down, and you'll feel some pain there. So again, the same thing applies. And if you're, and I'm picking kind of the main ones right now, but your neck. If people have a lot of pain in their neck, then are you finding that there are a bunch of people that you just really can't understand their perspective, that you don't even want to look at it because it's so egregious? They cannot see reality, and you're like, it's very upsetting. Now, this could be global political issues right down to the people in your house. It could be at any point, right? But I'm like, man, they are so wrong. And I really don't appreciate them one iota. Now, this expression of pain, stiffness, immobility, our body expressing these emotions that we can't. At the end, again, I'm going to get into how we can relieve that and enter into a new reality. And this reality will be supported by your real life experience. Will move you to a new understanding. And the benefit of it is that you get not to be in pain. So trust has a real impact on the physical body. How do we know this? Well, the first way is person getting out of pain through new realizations. And the second way is that we have a device. It's called a biowell. Now, the biowell was invented by a guy named Dr. Konstantin Kronikov. I think he's out of the University of St. Petersburg, and he is a physicist. Now, what he had done was he had combined Carillion photography with Korean fingertip acupuncture. So the Koreans had known about the meridians for millennia, right? They've been doing this forever. So they know that, let's say, on your thumb, on the lower right corner, that's going to be your pancreas or something. I'm making it up, but you get the idea. So the discovery was that you could actually measure all of these meridians. Now, the meridian thing is actually scientifically proven now. There's been some radiologists that have injected dye and watched it through their radiological exams and actually proven that these are in fact true. So knowing that, how is this information useful as it relates to trust in your body? When we go from a state of distrust in life, in people, in others, in all the different categories, to a state of trust, what happens is that the voltage in our body increases. I've seen about a 100% increase in the voltage in the body through watching the befores and after when somebody goes from distrust to trust as a real life feeling and experience. So why is that important? Why that's important is based upon the work of Dr. Jerry Tennant. Dr. Jerry Tennant is a Harvard-trained doctor, and he had discovered that the voltage in your body is relative to your health. There's a certain amount of millivolts. I think it's something like, I can't remember exactly, but you can see it on at the Tennant Institute. You can look that up. They're out of Texas. But at a certain voltage, I think it's something like 30 millivolts, 15 or 30 millivolts, that cells will not reproduce. And then I think it's something like 50 or 60 millivolts, then they can reproduce. So when we have low voltage in our body, it affects our overall health and well-being. By living in a state of peace, which is trust, right? If I'm not in peace if I can't trust, right? If I can't trust that I'll have enough money for dinner tomorrow, if I cannot trust that I don't have enough money to have my basic needs met, if I cannot trust that I won't be subject to violence, if I cannot trust that my body's health, like that I'm not going to be able to overcome this physical illness, if I can't trust those things, what happens is that these emotions, they restrict the actual electrical charge in the body. You are a battery, and this voltage, this electricity travels along your neurological system. That's what the nerves do. Nerves transmit electricity. Really interesting, isn't it? So as I start to contract through these negative emotions, it also restricts that electrical flow within the body. So the opposite is also true. As I open up, as I begin to trust the different aspects of life, such as trusting in others, that they're not going to judge me if I speak the truth, my truth, that I'm safe to love another. I'm safe to love another and that I won't be hurt by them. I'm safe to express my opinions at work. I'm safe to enjoy the pleasures of life. I'm safe to enjoy paying attention to and following my intuition. When these trusts happen, so too opens up these meridians, and it also opens up those neural pathways in the body that transmit this electricity. So with the additional voltage in the body, you get a lot more neurological activity also in your brain. Isn't that neat? You know, and as you have that, you know, you can imagine what that's going to do to your intellect. Have you ever noticed that people that you consider maybe not so smart, they all got one thing in common? They can't change their mind. Think about it for a second. Think of the people that you're like, not so bright. They can't change their mind, right? It's like, no, I'm right, you're wrong. This is how it is. No, I don't, no, it's wrong, right? So the opposite end of things is the people that you consider very smart, genius level, right? In a practical sense. They're people that are open. They can listen and they're discerning. They're not stupid. They're discerning. And when something makes sense and it holds benefit as well, right? Practical benefit, then they will change their mind. They have flexibility. One of the great teachers that I had said, if you want to remain young, remain physically flexible, remain mentally flexible, and remain emotionally flexible. These are your youth. These are your youth. And when you can trust your body, when you can trust yourself that it's okay to change, when you can allow yourself to play all the notes on the emotional keyboard of life, giving yourself full permission, then this allows you to maintain your youth. Have you ever noticed that the young people, right? The kids when they're, really young, or early teens, or that sort of thing, or the kids in college, emotionally, physically, all of it, mentally flexible, right? So it's a great lesson. Now, got to take another break for UK Health Radio. We're going to have our sponsors here for us. And when we get back, as promised, I'm going to walk you through how to begin to alleviate some of those pains. For those of you who have pain in the lower spine, I'm going to walk you through meditation like we do every single time on our radio show, New Life Perspectives. We give away something of incredible value at the end. You can go back in the archives and hear so many of the other great secrets. But for the moment, take it away, UK Health Radio. And we are back. Thank you. Thank you all for staying with us. And as promised, I'm going to walk everybody through how to come to a new understanding so you can begin to trust and change your life. Now, the first thing here is that whatever aspect of life it is, when we're in distrust, what happens is we think, you know what, throw up a wall, and that's the best protection, right? But in truth, when we realize that it is very profitable to trust, then we will change our minds. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, simply put, if you begin to trust as a process and you say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to trust, and I will clear up the exceptions when they happen. If there's a problem, I will clean it up. I'll deal with the problem. If you look at your total life, if you look at your life and you say, okay, how many times did the actual problem, whatever I was afraid of, happen? Imagine what your life would have been like if you were at peace all your life. And then the same situation happened. And you say, okay, well, I need to clean that one up. Now, I'm not saying that you should lose your discernment. Understand that being smart is having discernment. It's not losing your discernment. You discern that it's not very bright to walk through a violent neighborhood where there's been reports of violence, and you got money hanging out your back pocket. Probably not discerning, right? You don't want to do that. You probably want to discern, this here doesn't make a lot of sense, right? I can clearly see that this person has a gun, right? Probably good to leave. So we still have our discernment, but when you go into, let's say, for example, Walmart, and you say, I'm going to trust that all things are going to work out in here. I'm going to have a really good experience. And then I'm going to trust the people that are walking down the aisles that they're not going to try to hurt me in any way. And you will have a different life experience. You discern when there's an issue and you adjust accordingly. In business, if you were like a CEO of a company, when you have a low trust environment, then what happens is everything begins to shut down. There's multiple layers of checking and management and rechecking, and everything slows down and becomes less profitable. This can be shifted ever so easily if there was responsibility, right? Good processes, and they simply said, okay, all right, when there is an issue, we're going to deal with it, and we will adjust accordingly. So this is the same thing within our lives. If we default to trust, everything in our lives, every aspect will become more profitable. So here we go. Here is a little meditation for you to begin the process of trusting. And it's done through your experience. So if your pain is in your lower spine, this is typically has to deal with distrust on finances is the primary one. Also, some people may have it from distrusting that they're safe, right? If you're in prison or something like that, you're definitely have a feeling of, not physically safe. But if you look back at your life right now as you're listening to this, look back at your life. Look at the times in your life when you thought financially, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it. And notice what happened after you thought you weren't going to make it. Did it, in fact, work out for you? Did you still have something to eat, clothes on your back, and a place to sleep? Did you have that? Did you have it? Ask yourself that. Really? Did I have something to eat, clothes on my back, a place to sleep? And look throughout your life, all of the points that you thought you were going down. Did you make it? And if you had a problem, what ended up happening? What happened? Forward play it a little bit. Okay, I had a problem. And then what happened? Was I ultimately okay? Was I ultimately okay? Go to the next situation that happened when you thought that you were going down, that it was like, oh no, this is the horrible thing, right? When that happened, what happened next? Did you have to do some adjustments? Did you end up okay ultimately? Did you have something to eat, place to sleep, clothes on your back? Go to the next situation in your life. The thing that was the big problem, whatever that big problem was. Were you okay after? Was there some adjustments? Did it all work out? Notice that today, however old you are, did it all work out? Did it all work out? And now, did your parents have this feeling? Were your parents talking about how hard things were and they weren't going to make it or that sort of thing? Did that happen? Could it be that this is actually your parents' feeling? Did they actually make it? Did they have something to eat, a place to sleep, clothes on their back? Did they make it? And now that you've seen this, the truth of your life, look at the actual truth of your life. There's been a lot of worry, a lot of fear, a lot of distrust. Did this actually end up okay? This is your real life experience. Your life experience. How many ever decades old you are, is this true? Is it true that it all worked out? And now what you're going to do is apply this to today's worry. Whatever it is for you, notice your life and notice that it all worked out. And whatever your worry is, the water bill, the power bill, the leaky roof, the want to retire at some point, whatever it might be, apply the real life experience that you now see that you can trust life because of all the decades of experience you have. Say that, you know what, things get bad, but then it all works out. It's always worked out for you. Is that true? Allow yourself to feel that. It's always worked out. And now you have to actually apply this to today's worries. When you apply this to today's worries, what ends up happening is that you're going to feel a warmth in the bottom of your spine or a release, and all that pain just goes away. And now for the people that has neck pain, All these people, if you can turn your head to the left, turn to the right, everybody pretty much has some stiff neck pain. Now, notice how stiff your neck is, and try this one out. Do you have people in your life that you are like, they are so wrong? Whether it's the president of a country, not your country, some other country, or it could be your country, or maybe it is head of some institution, or maybe it's even a lot closer than that, coworker, spouse, and you have a hard time seeing their perspective. It's like, not only is it a hard time, you don't want to see their perspective. You have no interest of any kind in seeing their perspective. Just try and experiment just for a couple minutes here. See if you can just trust yourself that I'm just going to allow myself to look at their perspective without making them wrong, or without making myself wrong. I'm just going to fully allow myself to see their perspective today. Whatever that is, it's just a perspective, and I'm going to allow myself to see it. I'm just going to look at their perspective without making it wrong. All of the people, whoever they are, that you really kind of, resent a bit, and you just think that they are so messed up in their way, just give yourself permission to trust that you're going to be okay if you allow yourself to look at their perspective. I'm just going to allow myself to see it from their point of view. Doesn't mean you're going to change, you're going to like, oh, well, I'm going to do this. Just no, I'm just going to fully allow it. This is how they feel. And I'll look at it as if I'm them, I know that's uncomfortable, but just try it. If you'd like to experience the release in your neck, go ahead. Are you okay when you do this? I know it's uncomfortable, but allowing yourself, okay, this is how they feel. This is the way they see things. Okay, I'm no longer right. They're no longer wrong. This is just another perspective. And that's okay. That's okay. And now just take a breath and then move your head from left to right. Is there a change in your neck? Did the pain go away? If it's not completely gone, try out other people. You might have a particular area of pain in your neck, and put your finger on it, and you're just like, who's here? Who is it that right here that I refuse to see their perspective? You just put your finger right on that place, and you probably kind of know it or see it in your mind's eye. Very, very easy and simple. Now, when we do this with that release that we may have felt here, so too the energy, electricity can begin to flow. There's much, much more to this that you can do. And going through your life and beginning to look back at my life experience. What was the reality of my life? Was I okay? And how can I begin to just simply trust, but deal with the exceptions, utilizing my discernment still? And with this, our health, our wealth, our relationships, everything prospers. Now, thank you very much for joining me today. If you would like more of this, what the impacts were or will be for you from beginning to trust, go to cognomovement.com. That's COGNO Movement.com, cognomovement.com/Gaia, GAIA. I have a free 1-hour masterclass there for you that you can watch and learn a bunch more about it, this greatly expanded concept for you and what's going to happen in your life. It's very interesting. And on behalf of Liz Larson, who will be back, and myself, thank you, UK Health Radio, and thank you all across the globe for listening. Please leave your comments. Thank you.
Thanks for being here with us on the New Life Perspective radio show. For more information or to find out more about the work that Bill and I do, please visit us at cognomovement.com or email us at info@cognomovement.com. See you again soon.